understanding, right? Like where, how, why is that such a huge disconnect?
Oh yeah, I got you. The disconnect is emotions in the sexual act.
Okay,
So what happens hormonally is that when you having sex, you're not thinking as
okay,
if you normally would.
okay.
So if you cannot channel your thoughts into sexual act, which is much harder,
What do you mean by channel?
like when I have
I know what you mean by channel, but I mean,
yeah, but when I have sex, I want to be patient. I'm going to slow stroke it. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to touch, and I'm not going to like just randomly touch. Going to touch intentionally. I'm going
what's the
to
purpose?
I'm gonna touch with a purpose. I'm going to speak with a purpose. This whole act is purposeful. I'm not going to be insecure. I'm not going to be second guessing or questioning myself. I'm not.
Therefore, not random.
Yeah, I'm just going into the full. I'm going into the sexual act with a full presence of mind. And so sometimes you could be with a woman and she won't even let you exist in that because she's
Yeah,
dominant in the sexual act.
and she might be used to dominating.
Right. So, all right, do it like this. All right, switch positions. All right, let's do it like this. All right, let's. All right, let me get the vibrator. All right, let me da da da.
Yeah, let me get on top. Stand still. Don't
Yeah.
move. Yeah, yeah.
All right, let me get the camera. All right, take the camera. Like it's just
A little bit
she
to the left. Yeah.
she's in full control of the. And a lot of times, because dudes are just happy to be there.
Mm-hmm. They acquiesce to that point.
Yeah, and then do she even really want to have sex with you? Now, I don't mean it on a casual sex tip. I mean, how much do you know about this woman?
No, I would venture, I would gather off and to say, or gander rather, I would gander to say that she doesn't even, not only does she not even like that man, like that woman essentially can only have sex with someone that she views less than her, right? Like she not only is in full control, but she views you as under her class wise. Therefore it's easy for her to take control or have control because she doesn't necessarily even like the individual that she's doing this with. It's the ability to be able to do it that drives her and her emotions. It's not even necessarily that it's a person that she's doing it with, let alone a man.
Hmm. It
Right?
it it,
Because
it, it
she
depend it depends because it's like
doesn't even care about your emotion in it, right? If she's telling you how and which way to go every which way, right? Like she doesn't even care about your level of input. It's just
mm,
the ability that you have in input, right? So that means the vessel is all that necessarily matters, let alone what's controlling said vessel, because she believes she's supposed to be in control of the vessel.
so let's unpack it though a little deeper though. So like you get into a car, but you use the car to cook chicken wings, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And sometimes you get in this car and you cook chicken wings and the chicken wings taste good as hell.
Hmm.
Like even better than when you cook it in the kitchen. And
Hmm.
so therefore you like from here on out, I'm cooking
Every time I
chicken
do chicken
wings.
wings, I'm doing
I'm
it in the
cooking it in the car.
yeah.
Okay. This is a dominant woman in a sexual atmosphere. She cooking chicken wings in the car. Now
Especially if that imprint from her sexual experience that mattered the most comes from that area.
But the point is still standing that she haven't even figured out the purpose of sex.
No.
It's ego and arrogance. So the imprint is not even really an imprint, because in order for her to have sex in the correct way, in order for her to actually utilize the car the correct way, she must drive. In order for her to have sex, she must do it with a patient man that has sexual intelligence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If Big Dick Daddy came into your life and pounded you out for 2 hours, and that was quote unquote the best sexual experience that you had, that was quote unquote the most exhilarating experience that you had, therefore
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't compare to when you have sex with your husband, you are
Nope.
incorrect. You're frying chicken in the car. You're
Mm-hmm.
utilizing sex as a physical thing
Mm-hmm.
when really it is a spiritual thing. So the ways for which you exchange information, the ways for which you have sex, and you allow for certain arousal portals for her to open up
Using
through
to
patience.
scratch a spiritual itch.
You you said what?
You're using sex to scratch a spiritual itch.
You can't scratch the spiritual itch.
But that's the attempt. What you're describing is what I'm saying.
I'm saying, well, I'm saying that you have to understand that you can't have sex just because a man wants to have sex with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not sex.
At
That's
all.
sex is when you have a man that is one sexually intelligent, and also patient, and also disciplined, and also focus on opening up particular arousal portals that only happen through a patient sexual experience.
Yeah, these
So
are energetic pathways that can only be released and open with a mutual partner who has a mutual understanding of the balancing of frequency, so to speak. Right? Like, because that big dick daddy couldn't necessarily release that every time, right?
and where you at? Why you not with him? Why you only talking about him? Why you only thinking about him?
Why are
He
you constantly trying to relive him?
It couldn't have been positive if you didn't sustain a long-term relationship with him.
Yeah, you didn't maintain a level of connection that allowed you to go back and dip into that pond when necessary.
Then we can't assume that because a person is built a certain way that they are sexually intelligent, because
This,
you're
this,
attracted to them,
this
that
is
they are sexually intelligent.
really good stuff. You should hit record on this. This is really good stuff.
Oh, we live. We live.
Oh, we are okay, okay, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the impetus for the act is not necessarily conducive upon the act retrieving the necessary or the um moment that one is looking for, so to speak, right? So it's more about the ability to emulate said act as opposed to whatever feeling one is trying to derive from the act.
I mean, once again, I don't think people have the point of reference of time, energy, and discipline and continuity with that same partner in a space of just communing, but sexually, but just we're just going to take our time in this embrace.
You're describing continuity. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
You can only establish this in a long-term relationship, and the reason why you're married to a man and you want to divorce him is because he is not sexually intelligent.
Hmm. Hmm. And let's let's throw this interesting caveat that we figured out yesterday, right? Let's throw romance into that, right? So when you understand that the reality that most men don't really necessarily care for romance as opposed to it being in reference to a sexual partner, right? Then you understand that when romance was created, it was created so that the lesser desired individual males could have the opportunity to ingratiate themselves to a particular class of women that wouldn't necessarily otherwise look at them in the first place, right? So so if the man doesn't possess a particular level of chivalry that comes with the anticipation of a connection in reference to romance, and then you throw that in with the idea of a what did you describe it as, a illogical lover? No, you said nope, I'm gonna get it right. You said an immature lover,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're talking about an impatient person who is only seeking only initial intent is for personal pleasure as opposed to the pleasure that is derived from a mutual connection.
Yeah, and once again, pleasure is eating chicken. Now, imagine if you could use a vehicle to reduce your travel time exponentially, right? It would just blow the water out of it to where you could travel to California if you wanted to in a matter of days, which would have took you a matter of months
Hmm.
if you was on a horse.
Hmm.
So this analogy is related to sex as a device for spiritual uh, technology.
Hmm.
So if you're only using sex for pleasure, you're just frying chicken in the car.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just because you can do it don't mean that is right.
yeah, yeah.
It's so many different ways for which you could derive pleasure in this existence to whereas you don't even have to create a kid. You don't even gotta get an STD. You don't even gotta get AIDS. You don't even gotta get HPV. You don't even gotta get herpes. You
You
don't
don't
gotta
have to have a multitude of partners that just confuse you psychologically.
hormonally upset, disrupt your nervous system. Uh, Casual sex in reference to a person just wanting to get pleasure is something that needs to be closely examined
Hmm.
within that individual because there's some shit going on with the person that is okay with just having casual sex, man or woman, because that is a spiritual energy exchange. It is not something for which you could derive pleasure from because who is the person that's just having sex all their lives till the wheels fall off?
It's not something that you can derive solely pleasurable feelings from. Like it that can't be the one and only goal, nor can it be the reason, right? Like when two people decide to commingle in that way, when their spiritual bodies decide to coagulate and commingle that way, um the the top of the mountain can't be pleasure, because when you don't get pleasure from it, then the both of you end up feeling like you wasted your time. And when two energies are coagulating and commingling, there is no possibility of you wasting time. There is only a misrepresentation or a misunderstanding of what the awareness of that those two energies were doing.
I mean, people just going to have sex, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about energies and things of this nature, where you got to look at it as a mental health equation.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What is fucking your head up? Why can't you? You're talking about something that's really directly related to consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
directly related to all aspects of life, inward and outward. That most people stay on the outside of because we're not being taught. We're not being educated, and we're following pornography, right,
Mm-hmm.
as a way to utilize sex.
Mm-hmm.
Before pornography, there was a chance that you could pair bond with a woman because most women wasn't exposed to sexual deviancy at such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't no such thing as OnlyFans when I was in my mating season.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to compete with that. But nowadays, guys, it's like, is you gonna like me if I do OnlyFans, or can we do OnlyFans together? Now, I'm not knocking OnlyFans because everybody got to figure out a way to make money. But what I am saying is, you got to be prepared for a woman that have her nose completely open. And the problem is, you're not going to be able to educate her on a different reality unless she's willing to commit to you long term and to adjust her biochemistry to yours, which means that she have to reorganize and redistribute her previous biochemistries with previous partners. And the time that it takes for two people to get on the same level biochemistry wise is 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, if you put that up in comparison to the average mating ritual time, which is what, 2 or 3 dates?
I mean,
What's the average mating ritual time?
if you can get a second date, you can beat by that second date in 2026.
Okay. So essentially
If she like you to see you again, she's willing to fuck.
what you're saying is what people are doing in 14 days completely blindsides them from the reality of what it actually takes for two people to energetically mesh together completely, which is a 2 to 3 year period.
Yeah, you need all of the
14
stories. You need the family history. Y'all both need to exchange a lot of information. Y'all have to download files.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That
That,
only it takes time. If you have to download 50,000 gigabytes,
but Hood, like, listen to what we're saying. Like, that's smack dab in the face of how you or I were taught being raised as young men in this world, right? Like, no one was ever taught to take that substantial amount of time before they decided to mix energies with another person before. Like, 2 to 3 years, if we say 2 to 3 years is the standard, then 2 to 3 years, we probably wouldn't have the amount of children out of wedlock that we have, the amount of broken nuclear families that we have. Like, we probably wouldn't have that if everybody took 2 to 3 years time before they decided to lay up with someone.
let me lay it out plain to you. It is your responsibility to do that, though. You have to take the lead within the relationship with the woman to understand the process,
Mm-hmm.
because she is going to follow your lead sexually.
Mm-hmm.
You could train her to uh hucklebuck style. You know what I'm saying? Rollovers, turn around, ride it. You're
Mm-hmm.
telling her to do all of these different sexual positions, So it's your responsibility to say, tonight I'm gonna just slow stroke it for an hour, and we're gonna communicate,
Mhm.
and
I'm
we gonna touch each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna massage you and just look in your eyes tonight.
Exactly. You take the responsibility. This is what I mean by being sexually intelligent. And the reason that your wife is not going to love you is not, you could be the, how many times have you, why is everybody talking about this shit online? Relationships.
Because it's obviously an issue.
It's obviously an issue. Now, what point have men talked about the female orgasm?
Next to none.
I've never heard it.
I've never heard it.
It is the most important thing within the dynamic of your relationship, but there is a certain arousal portal that opens up to, whereas it's a certain arousal from the clitoris that is like more of a friction, but the orgasm that I'm talking about is a deep spiritual orgasm that requires time to open up.
You're talking about the full body scape, the full body orgasm. Again, if we're referencing the last show that we did, you're talking about the difference between filling up the pool, between filling up the ocean.
Mhm.
There is a huge difference in those levels of orgasm. So the difference is during one of them she can keep going, right? With the other one, she literally doesn't want to do anything afterward. That's the difference.
And we're talking about a level of relaxation.
And comfort.
That's Autumn's phone. Give me 1 second.
A level of relaxation and comfort that comes with knowing one's partner and understanding one's partner. Those levels don't come from, just putting the socket in, putting the plug in the socket and pulling it out. Like, these are levels that come from being able to pay attention to the language the body speaks as opposed to the language that the mouth speaks. You're talking about getting to know someone on a spiritual level as opposed to a physical level. The physical part is easy, right? When you get to know somebody on a spiritual level, it's whole encompassing, right? Like it's holistic to a level of being able to read someone's body language without witnessing it. So like, how the body is going to react before it does. Yeah.
I got to move my car out the driveway real quick because this contractor is coming. You want to play this video for like 7 minutes and come?
Do that.
All right. And let me know if you could hear it.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is PsycHacks Better Living.
You hear?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Through psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is the truth about romance. Romance is for men. This title is probably a shock to most of you, especially to the men out there. I'm here to argue that all the things that go into modern romance, the flout, the chivalry, the bent knee proposals, are actually not for women. They're for men. This was a big realization for me, and it was even bigger because it was actually staring me in the face the entire time. It's so obvious that it's invisible to people. Now, before I get into it, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. It takes less than a second, and it's how you can support me in my mission to deliver free, high-quality content to the world. Really, thanks for your help. Now, let me help you understand why romance is for men. In the pinned comment below, there's a link to this really catchy 90s song called Two Princes by the band Spin Doctors. I remember when I heard this song in the 6th grade for the first time. I made my mom drive me to the mall just so that I could buy the single, which I proceeded to listen to over and over and over again. The song just spoke to me. The song hit #1 on the US charts, and more important to our present undertaking, it perfectly exemplifies what I'm here to talk about. If you haven't done so already, listen to it yourself. It's really catchy. Now, the lyrics of the song tell the story of an age-old romantic trope. Two men are vying for the same woman. One guy is rich. He's established. He has status. As the song says, he's got diamonds in his pockets. But he apparently doesn't really love the woman. On the other hand, the guy, the singer, he's poor. He's got no future. He's got nothing to offer but his heart, but he apparently knows what a prince and lover ought to be. There's nothing new here. This is the same dichotomy you see in almost every romantic comedy or Hallmark movie, so who cares? Well, let me ask you a really obvious and stupid question. Why is this always the case? That is, why is it always the rich, powerful man who doesn't believe in love against the poor, down on his luck dude who does? Or, to put it another way, why is it never the rich, powerful man who believes in love against the poor, down on his luck dude who doesn't? And it's an easy question because the answer is obvious. The reason why it's never the other way around is that it would be a fair fight. The woman would have absolutely no reason to choose the second guy. So there's really no reason to tell that story. There's no conflict because there's no contest. The woman, of course, would choose the rich and powerful man who believes in love. Do you understand? So what was the story before romance was invented? Like, how did it work in medieval and ancient times? Leaving aside the fact that women rarely got to choose their own partners, how were men selected for women back then? Well, before romance, it was just the rich, powerful guy against the poor, down on his luck dude, which, like my hypothetical counterexample, also isn't a fair fight. The first guy wins every single time. And in those times, not only did the rich and powerful men get their pick of the choicest women, it wasn't all that uncommon for these men to have a whole harem of women. I mean, according to the Bible, King Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. That guy had 1,000 women, which means that at that time, in that place, there was probably 999 other guys who were pissed at Solomon for bogarting all the best ladies for himself. But can you really blame the women? Why wouldn't they choose Solomon? He was the king. He had the money and the palaces, which means he could offer resources and protection, and he was wise and generous to boot. The other guys couldn't compete. Now, because romance was actually a historical phenomenon, it originated in the south of France in the 15th century, we know who invented it. Men invented it, more specifically the chivalric knights of that time and place. And these men invented it for them, for men, not for women. And they invented romance in an attempt to compete with the rich and powerful men of their time for access to the best women. And this is because if a guy couldn't convince a woman that he had something special, something intangible that the king didn't have, there's no way he was getting laid. The truth about romance is that it's a strategy that lower status men have adopted in their attempt to compete successfully with higher status men for women. This is also why romance is a young man's game, because most young men don't have anything to offer women, but they still want to get laid. And if it works, it's a pretty slick game, because I, a lower status man, would have convinced you, an attractive woman, that this intangible feeling in my chest is actually more valuable and important to you than all the resources and opportunity that a higher status man could provide for you. I would have to be extremely smooth for that to work. And to be honest, it usually doesn't. Women might think the second guy, the guy who calls himself a prince, is rather sweet and may even play around with him for a little bit. But they generally end up with the first guy, the guy who might actually be a prince and who can provide her with the kind of lifestyle that she would prefer. And it's just mind-blowing for me, because guys typically think that romance is for women. I mean, they don't want chocolates and flowers and poetry and jewelry, and they give these things because they think women do. But women still want Solomon, guys. Women still want the king, the powerful, wise, generous, rich alpha male. Things haven't changed because women's nature, like men's nature, hasn't really changed in the last few hundred years. The upshot is that romance was actually invented by men for men to help them compete with more powerful men who would otherwise completely destroy them in the place for desirable women. Take that in. What do you think? Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for the and tab for more information on the nation's constitution.
Damn. So romance is so the king could get some hoes. I mean, the peasants can get some hoes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Damn.
I mean, and it makes sense, right? Like when you look at all those medieval movies, right? Like sometimes the fair lady be so bad, right? But she come from a poor house, and you ask yourself, like, why she sleeping with this nigga? And it's, he came up with something fantastic. He was creative, like he tried, he made an effort, like, like those things went a long way in a place that is dismal to a lot of women. You know what I'm saying? So if you like fantastic things, I mean, I get it. It's just real disheartening as a man if you hear some shit like this. You just like, damn, bro. Like it was against me from the beginning. Like, what the fuck?
And it's like from a materialist point of view, the woman wants a king.
Mm-hmm.
From a spiritual point of view,
From a survival point of view.
from a survival point of view, but the thing about life that some of these commentators always state is that we live in one dimension.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have money, and that's all you need to have. And so I'm thinking, is romance so powerful, or is it the lack of sexual intelligence that we got to discuss a million and one different things besides discussing what is the point of it past children?
I think I honestly think it's a level of what one has ultimately deemed as being possible. So it's probably more about the allure of possibility of what could be, right? Because if you're a woman and you see another woman that obtains these things, and this woman she might be less than you based off of your interpretation, right? She might be not as well off as you, right? She might not come from as good a family as you, right? And you see her basking in the glow of that space that a man has created for her. It's kind of hard for you to tell her that she needs to accept this from this nigga down the block, right? Like it's kind of hard. And for a woman, they only need that one time for their anecdotal experience, right? They don't need 16 experiences to point to or to allude to substantiated evidence as to whatever claim they're trying to acknowledge, right? Like they only need to see that one time. And if you show a woman that one time, bro, and then tell her she has to accept this from Jerome, yeah, I understand.
So from your perspective, a king's love is incomparable to communal love.
I think it depends on circumstance of the individual, right? Like what that individual has been through and what that individual has been made aware of to exist, right? I think it's hard to put the toothpaste back into the bottle, right? So people that have been made to be privy to certain things that others may not have, yeah, it's kind of hard for you to expect that person not to want that because they know it's possible, is what I'm saying. No matter how the delusion stacks up for a woman, if you show her that it's possible, that's all that matters.
0.1%, is that possible or impossible? If you got a 0.1% chance to do anything, is that probable, possible, or is that delusional?
Probably all of the above. But ask yourself, why would the smallest woman argue at the top of her lungs with the biggest nigga? Right? Like she clearly can't think she's gonna lose, she's gonna win that fight. But she would still argue with this nigga like as if she was the biggest shit on the block. What's going on within the psychology of that? And why wouldn't that connect to her sexually when it comes to what she desires or what she wants? Why wouldn't that?
I mean, because it's improbable, because it won't necessarily happen in the
When
way that the
when
way that
has it ever been a matter of a woman thinking about what is probable though, big bro? When has that ever been the case where a woman has actually contemplated what is probable, my nigga?
I mean, whenever you find a happy guy, you're dealing with a woman that dealt with
Them
possibilities
niggas
and
is unicorns.
probabilities.
Them niggas is unicorns, and you know it. A happy nigga with a woman is a unicorn, and you know it.
I mean, it gotta be a level of, I guess, I look at it as a level of I'm regular, but I'm also divine. But my divine is a chemistry and a biology that, builds up my law of attraction to whereas I can't argue or be mad about the energies. If I don't like it, then I just have to do more inner work.
But that's also coming from a super grounded, initiated spiritual nigga. The average nigga does not operate from that disposition, big bro.
I mean, that's why we on the internet talking.
Why we
We
talking about it?
can't, we
That is
can't,
why
we
we
can't,
talking about it.
we can't just continue the status quo because this is really the juxtaposition of the conversation in
Mhm.
reference to relationships and status quo and how difficult it is to, navigate it. And then, so many men are getting divorced, so many men is in child support court. And to say it was avoidable, I would say it was avoidable if we implement truth into our daily mental intake.
Yeah, if I wanted to be short sighted, we could be like the conscious niggas of old and come out and be like, yeah, this is all your fault, niggas, right? But that's not what we doing here, right? Like the conversation necessarily it isn't necessarily about what should have been done or what could be done. Like the conversation is about practical understanding in order for you to implement steps that you could use going forward. And when I say that, I mean like understanding that going into any relationship, Like it could take upwards of 36 months before you actually get to know your partner. That should make you second guess the idea of I need to fuck tonight. Right? Like that should make you second guess. I'm gonna ball out for this first date so I can get some sex at the end of the day. Like that should make you second guess that. As a man, I mean, right? Because if the goal is for you to just go in and get buns, then I understand. I don't recommend it, but I understand, right? But if we're talking about true connection, right, with another human being, with another person, right, then it would behoove you to understand that it's going to take a little bit longer for you to understand the inner and outer workings of that individual. It's going to take some time. It's not going to be something that you're going to get in a couple dates. It's not. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry to tell you that your favorite guru has been lying to you when they tell you what to require and what to expect and what to look forward to before going out on a date with either sex. I'm here to let you know that your average guru is lying to you. What they should be encouraging is you actually getting to know this person before you get to a space of having to dare I say, go into your savings to take care of them type shit. Like, but I digress.
That's another thing when we are referencing financials in reference to biological. What has taken the most time to develop and advance over the longest period of time? The financial system or your biology or chemistry?
I would
The
say the
things,
understanding of the financials in cooperation with the biology and the chemistry. Okay.
what you mean?
No, I'm saying like understanding how they work together in tandem. The misunderstanding of that I would say is the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean, the way that, from my understanding, that it works in tandem is that people just generally utilize money as a way to freak the fuck out because that's what it was designed for,
Hmm.
right? To keep you. So in your bank account is a certain limit of money that you have in it.
Hmm.
The reality of money is that is infinite,
Hmm.
but in every person's bank account is a finite limit. But the whole entire gamut of the spectrum is infinite. So what we tend to have is a way of us to freak the fuck out. So
But also your level of psychological disposition is going to be based off of, like you said, the amount that you have in said account at any given time. Go ahead.
and it is, but that is a false equivalence.
Yes, yes, 1000%. Because, like you said, money is infinite. So the idea that just because you don't have a particular amount in your account means that your stress level should be at a particular level or not is the crazy part. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, I mean, but then it is a certain way to look at it energetically. So my basic point is, under the hood, you would say if this car had rust on it, but the engine was pristine, versus this car that the engine is knocking, but it just got a brand new paint job. Which car do you want? So the way that modern society is set up through the lens of casual sex, people unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, whether they know it or not, are choosing people based upon what type of paint job it has.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So to be mad that the shit didn't go the distance, the most important thing to our makeup is our biology and our chemistry, our hormones and our nervous system.
Hmm.
Our ability to tune into that is our ability to magnetize. And then from that magnetization, we have the ability to learn to access spiritual dimensions because a battery is started with a positive and a negative charge.
Mhm. Mhm. So essentially, as a collective, it wouldn't, it doesn't exactly benefit us to assume that whatever exists within our composition or within our lives that is negative, that we need to do away with, more so than we need to understand why the negative actually exists in the first place.
I mean, usually it's from a state of ignorance or from a lack of powering up,
Mm-hmm.
right? This thing is inward. This thing ain't outward. This thing is not external. This thing is internal. Your
Mm-hmm.
education is not going to come from the external, it's going to come from the internal. So there's a certain level of calm and relaxation that can answer a lot of questions that stress and anxiety cannot.
It's also a certain level of calm and relaxation that comes from knowing when the inner when the inner is understanding of the outer. Right. Like there is a level of release that comes with that because on the other side of that is the anxiety of the unknowing. Right.
Exactly. And basically that's what it really boils down to, because what you'll start to notice is that um give me a second. uh there is a male loneliness epidemic, and women are filing up to 70% of divorces in the United States. I find that those two are correlates, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that it's trouble going on, and loneliness is a state of mind, right?
Yes. Sort of like the person that doesn't have a lot of money believes that they're poor.
States of mind. But in that moment of loneliness or quote unquote being poor, you can enact changes in your life if you choose to.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can build your energy up if you choose to.
Yeah, in other words, you could change the way you think about yourself in those situations.
Right. And put in the steps. So from and I would say if your relationship is over, it's over, it's cooked. But for the men that's in relationships right now and you want to sustain it and you want to figure this woman out, the game plan is very simple. You need to get in tune with her orgasmic life, and you gotta assume that if she's going to open up to you sexually, then that means that you have the ability to do some amazing things
Mm-hmm.
within that paradigm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the ability to incorporate one's composition into your own, and then at the same time, turn around and recreate a whole nother space with that composition. So, dare I say, with the unmitigated consent of your partner, right? Because that's important. I think a lot of men don't understand that they have sex with women that aren't even necessarily giving them complete consent, right? And I think that that level of consent comes with um, the patience that we discussed earlier, the ability to approach a encounter or meeting with your partner and not put your pleasure supreme to everything. Understanding that part of pleasure is the ability to please your partner. Um, there there should be a space that exists where your number one goal is the pleasing of your partner, but that's neither here nor there. Like that's a level, right? But yeah, I think what we're talking about is um for the men that have complaints, you should have just as many epiphanies about how much work there is that you need to put in as well to go with all of the complaints that you may have in regards to women, right? Like spiritual nigga 101ness. Like there is no finger pointing without accountability. So it's like as men, we have to understand what type and level of partnership and leadership we're exemplifying to our partners and how they're receiving that and therefore turning around and reciprocating whatever it is type of energy that we're giving them. Like we have to understand that, especially if we're coming at it from a leadership point.
I mean, females report lower average sexual satisfaction in males, higher
Mhm.
levels of sexual guilt and sexual anxiety.
Mhm.
So, your experience within the dynamic of sex with that woman is completely different.
Completely different.
If you don't enter, so if you say, well, I had sex with this woman, it was some good ass pussy.
Mhm.
Now, at what point did she feel comfortable? At what point did she let go? At what point did she feel safe? Right?
Or just to compound and to add on to that, at what point did you ask yourself, is she safe? At one point did you ask yourself,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
she in enjoyment of what is occurring? At what point did you ask yourself, is she fully into what is exactly going on right now? Or is she just trying to please me?
And when it comes to men, we have a hard time when it comes to sex.
I think I know for me as a young man, I had a hard time reconciling the balance point of it, right? Like reconciling that both people should want to receive something from this. You know what I'm saying? Like and as I got older, I understood like, yeah, like it's so easy for a guy to get excited, want to do it, and then be done, right? It's so difficult for a woman to coexist in that space. It just is.
It's one of those things, man, where when you really get to the undercurrent of it, it's a very interesting dynamic conversation, right?
Mhm.
Because when you think about the concept of sex is demonized, right? It's
It's
subjugated
taboo.
to
It's taboo.
prost prostitution or shame or
Always say the
trafficking or
always say
assault.
the first profession was it was prostitution, right? So like they always demonize it from the beginning of time to now.
Right. And think about it though. You got to really think about it when you trying to understand spirituality and then the concept of prostitution, where at the first level it's like, damn, that's some, like if you ever just seen a prostitute walking the street that's doing drugs and
Mm-hmm.
that's some nasty shit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You would never think that that's the most spiritual shit going on in the city though, right? You would think that it would be related to a church or something of that nature or of that stature.
Yeah, it truly takes a spiritual awakening to get to a point to understand that the sacred horror is revered, right? Like the symbology of the sacred horror is reverence, right? Like it's not vitriol, right? It's not judgment, it's reverence. Even when we reference everybody's favorite son, right? Jesus, right? They always say she was
Mhm.
birthed from the Virgin Mary, who they reference as a whore, right? Like they always reference that part of it to point it out as a distinction, but yet God came from this point, right? So it's like, what are we really trying to say here?
Right. It's like I wish I could explain it. Well, I guess the way I could explain it is because it's evil because of the modality. So if it wasn't nothing, then it wouldn't be nothing, right? Like you get what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah,
sex was just
if there was no thing, then there would be no thing to call nothing. Like so, yeah, nothing is nothing.
but it gotta be something if you could get scarred for life if you experience sexual violence. You could go to jail for the rest of your life if you get caught doing sex trafficking.
Hmm.
Prostitution is the most shameful thing. Having sex with a lot of people call you a hoe. People, your family might not even talk to you if they found out you did some freaky shit.
Hmm.
Well, the reason why it's so demonized because it must be powerful. Because if it
Hmm.
wasn't powerful, it wouldn't be demonized.
Hmm. And there's a certain level of psychology that is attached to sex. So if we're doing sex in um irrational or dare I say unnormal or dark area, then yeah, it's absolutely looked down upon and it's villainized.
Right. So I would say that it is being misused, right? If you just think about sex being used throughout the whole entire planet and just the way that it is processed, the way that it is just kind of used for a specific purpose to make money or to get your rocks off for a couple of minutes. But at the end of the day, I feel that, it is a spiritual thing that can be accomplished through a long term relationship. And through this modality of sex is a certain level of consciousness that you can access when you begin to take it seriously, when you begin to understand its actual power. But once again, it's required by the man to generate the energy, right? Like you got to be that generator and you got to take your time with it.
You know how they say, um, I didn't know, right, in reference to the impact that certain sexual encounters have had on people's lives, right? When you talk about sex early or you talk about sex late, you talk about being groomed or introduced to sex by family members or people who are close to the family, or dare I say, school people or church people, so forth and so on. Whenever we reference sexual acts, almost all the time there is a level of speaking to or trauma that comes with certain sexual acts that people don't and can't speak to and speak on, or at least they choose to specifically. And I only allude to that because I'm talking about a general area that in which comes with the inability to be transparent about sexual acts, and the shadow that is derived from that only exists because there is a level of inability to express or communicate what's happening during these sexual acts. And so I think because of things like post nut clarity that exists for men and women, right? Like, this is the number one reminder to the person that the act they committed was either a fruitful act or, dare I say, less than desired because of the outcome act, right? Like, a man knows the woman that is not the woman for him almost immediately after having sex with her. Or rather, he knows before he had sex with her. He gets reminded after he has sex with her anyway. Right? We call it post-nut clarity, bro. And what do most niggas do after post-nut clarity? They still keep dealing with that woman anyway. Right? And that is the number one conscious reminder. You said there's a level of consciousness that comes with sex. That is the first, like cherry bomb, like the first signal, like the first beacon of like, hey, hello, maybe this ain't it for a nigga that comes through. And what do most niggas do after they get that?
Shit, I mean, it just depends on the type of dude, you know. Some fight, I see fight or flight.
But I mentioned that all to say that women have that too. And even a woman will bypass that shit and still deal with the guy, even though she knows. She knows. Right? So, like, we both have this thing. Well, we're speaking to the men portion of this because we're men. We can't speak to the women. We can only speak to the men. Right? Like, it absolutely behooves you to understand what that energy is about, right? Because when you wrap it up in a person that you don't know, now your shit is just going in a multitude of directions, and you got this anxiety about you that you just can't fathom, you can't pin down, you can't understand it because you let that shit go with somebody you don't know. And that shit is debilitating as a man, bro. When you just don't know and you let that, you let another person into that space, that area, now you're going to start a relationship with that person. You're going to double down on not knowing this person. You're going to double down. like, bro, we were sorely outnumbered growing up. We didn't know. We had no clue. We were starting families, coming out of the home at 17, 18 years old, not knowing. We were outnumbered and outmatched. Like, that's just the reality. But after learning that, right, and then seeing how relationships are and have evolved since then, I think these kinds of conversations lend themselves to trying to maybe educate in a specific area for some individuals who might not necessarily know that there's education to be had here, right? Because who's teaching you that you need to understand sex before you have sex? Who's teaching you that? No one, right? No one's teaching you the importance of that spiritual transmutation between you and another person. Y'all energy is just commingling on so many different levels. Nobody is teaching you that. You're just doing that shit and doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a point of like, yeah, this person is grounded or this person is spiritual. But I tend to look at it from a perspective that is like it's hard to you live in life and you're not able to succeed, right? You're not able to connect the dots because the ways for which you connect the dot is through the modality of sex.
Mm,
Sex is not for pleasure, sex is for things, so you want things to work out for you,
mhm,
right? You want your business to work out, you want to attract more money.
mhm,
You have to develop a level of understanding of this aspect of life because this aspect of life is what everybody is talking about when they're talking about success. Success is not money per se, because we've seen enough people have money still not be satisfied with the overall outcomes.
mhm,
We've seen people have businesses go back to getting jobs, and people who had jobs start businesses. It's not no set thing that people is doing that people is happy. People said, man, if I get own a house, I'll be happy. Now you
mhm.
paying $4,000 a month just
Word.
on the mortgage.
Just to keep the lights on.
Not even to keep the lights on, just to have the motherfucker. You got to drop another 500 for the electricity bill every month. So now you going back to an apartment because the idea of the home ain't what it's cracked up to be either. All I'm saying is the point to which we are going to enter into a dimension of spirituality is through the form of eroticism.
Mm,
In
mm,
the ways for which you enter into the realms of eroticism is through your relationships, and you gotta have them, right? You can't fuck your way into this. You can't you can't go to the massage parlor and enter into these particular dimensions, right? You gotta have a conversation, and you gotta deliver in a way that you are understanding what life is about. Now, I'm saying all of this to say we had masters that existed that left this science for us.
mhm,
The Anxiolytic Mysteries by Pascal Beverly Randolph, right? He's breaking all of this knowledge and rhetoric down. And he's saying about how women are going to be unsatisfied in their relationships due to the inability to achieve orgasm. And it ain't about masturbation, it ain't about utilizing a toy, it's about that energetic, like it's like you can't manipulate a male's energy and a female's energy when they coalesce.
there is no mimic. There is no mimicry, right? There is no ability to mimic that energy, right? It can't be faked, is what that describes, right? Like it can't be manipulated. It has to be authentic.
And it's just something that I mean, it's like I'm experiencing it because I know what it's been like this week for me.
Mhm.
I keep it real. I have ups and downs. I have good months, bad months.
Mhm.
But I've been really,
As we all do.
yeah. I've been really making it a point to study and and receive the information and receive the channel, and it just makes a lot of sense. And then I would just implement it. Like read about it. Okay, then lay in the bed because when you having sex and you want that nut, you only thinking about it.
That's all you're thinking about.
You're
So
not
much,
really thinking.
so much is sacrificed for that one track mind thought, right? Like
Right.
so much is thrown to the wolves just to accomplish that shit, right? Like I remember the first time I was made to think about, just wanting to get a nut and then looking at the woman's reaction, right? Like I remember that when I was a young boy. So like that level of witnessing a woman's disappointment is like no other, right? Like what? And then having to live with her describing it and talk about it. Yeah, you try that. Try that on. I'm just saying, like as a man, like try that shit on and see what that shit is like.
But that's just the general average experience because during sex you're not thinking.
Mm-mm. All the blood is in the wrong head.
Mhm.
I think there's something to be said about that physiologically. Like all your blood is in the other head. Like you're thinking about that one thing, that one area, not understanding that that is actually a full body process. It's not just that one area. It's a full body process. It should be treated as such, you know. And that's why I you can't judge men for not knowing, like you said, but you also can't give them the benefit of the doubt for not knowing as well. Like that's actually your responsibilities as a man, especially if you say you love women. All right. Like this is part of your responsibility as a man. You telling me you just got a bunch of women and all you do is just nut, 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 and none of them are pleased whatsoever. I'm gonna call you a psychopath. I'm gonna call you a psychopath anyway because you just got a bunch of women for no reason. But that's another story. But if you just telling me you just got a bunch of women and it's only about your nut, you're a psycho.
Yeah, it's a if you're married and every time you lay down with your wife, you humping, you frictionizing it until you orgasm and then you roll over and go to sleep, you know,
Yeah.
that was an opportunity to whereas you could have had a spiritual experience if you just you got to constantly think when you having sex, you got to constantly hold yourself back
Hmm.
constantly the whole entire time.
Contemplation is everything, man. So
It's, yeah, give me a
rumin-
second real quick.
rumination, contemplation is everything during sex. Yeah.
My fault, serpent. Had a contractor here.
I remember. You go.
You said what?
Nah, I said I remember. You good? Sorry
Mm,
for the slight intermission for the podcast, but we back.
hmm So yeah, where we leave off at?
We were talking about understandings, just a man's understanding going into sex, basically.
Mm, yeah, but yeah, man. I feel so. Just really getting into it, just from my point of view. Sex is a spiritual technology if you are, in tune with your body, in tune with your energy,
Mm.
and really take it seriously. And I'm talking about this is the key to success. This is the key to connection. This is the key to peace. This is the key to like working things out in your life by understanding sex, but understanding it as a spiritual technology. And this is a man's responsibility because you're not really going to find no woman that's going to do. I mean, yeah, you got to be a man in this particular instance, right?
1000%. I'll start this off by saying, for all of you brothers out there that really believed, um, it was a good argument that most women are single mothers because of their doing, you know, um, you didn't get the memo, right? Like these are um, two people understanding their roles together and with one another. And when a man and a woman have sex, usually it creates a child, it creates another life. So when a woman gets pregnant, you know, there's no such thing that exists in a world that says it's solely her fault, if there's a fault to be had in the first place. You, as a man, that's part of your responsibility in being able to control your seed. Right, big bro? Like, that's basically what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough reality, I guess, for once you can't squeeze the toothpaste back into the toothpaste tube, first of
Mm-mm,
all. So,
mm-mm.
you know, the responsibility
On that
on
coming out.
on children, I like, the experience of children in reference to sex, man, that's kind of like a big deal. It's
Mhm.
a huge deal. It's a huge undertaking, and it is thankless the whole way through. So you gotta actually
But what
want
did
to
the ancients
do
used
it.
to say? Because you say it all the time, right? Didn't the ancients used to say sex is marriage? Isn't that
Sex,
why they used to say that?
sex is marriage, right? But at the same time, casual sex does not
That would mean
sanctify that
that
union,
sex
though.
is out of fucking order, big bro. You could say it instead of being nice. You could say it. That would mean casual sex is out of fucking order, bro. Like if the ones who came before us said that sex is marriage initially from the door, because there's no way to 100% prevent a person from not having or creating a child with another person, even if you have contraception, right? So If there's no way to prevent that, then the understanding is your responsibility on preventing that thing from coming out if it comes out in the first place as a man. That's the first part. The second part is the receiver and what the receiver does. Like that's all their part. Your part is that thing coming out, or if it comes out at all. Like that's your part.
It's like it is energetically. I feel that you are correct, but it's like the way that the world is like fraud, right? People can steal money out your bank account. They shouldn't do it, but they do it, you know. And you could call a bank and they could put the money back into your account. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
thing with sex, it's
They,
like you
they, they,
can't
could, they could steal your seed. They could steal it. I get it. I
you
get it.
can't you can't really
I get it. I get it.
you can't get no do overs or get backs. So
Nah, you can't, bro. You can't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's like the love that a man has for himself is the true testimony to how he's going to love other people. Now, it's no guarantees in this science. And for a lot of men that don't want it to work and they just want it to end, or they want their child to grow up without them, then cool. You know, keep doing what you're doing. But I'm trying to teach how to hijack the system, you
Mhm.
know, in a ways for which you win and you succeed. And it's not and basically, man, it's the first understanding is that all women are the same, right? That's the first level. And the second level is when you give one woman an orgasm, you giving them all an orgasm. Like
Mhm.
it is a unified field, and like you are just,
Sort of like a collective conscious, unconscious.
but you charging up the pool of energy.
Hmm.
And men, if we if we as a whole said our modality of relating to women is to make sure that they orgasm as much as possible or as much as we can. Our goal is not to ejaculate.
Hmm. Hmm.
Our goal is to achieve orgasms in our sexual unions. We are about patience, taking things slow,
We're about
having conversations. Go ahead.
seeing spaceships. We're about seeing spaceships.
Right. Traveling outside of the body and things of that nature. Um, yeah. If you prioritize that as a collective, then we don't have shit to complain about and we all can exist in the modality of being
That's
with a woman
yeah.
and having a successful, happy, useful union because the balancing is not through our ego but through the divine creator.
Yeah, because if you're watching your algorithm every day, you're gonna stay single. Right? Like if you watching the algorithm every day, like there's no way that you want to go out there and look for a girl. Right? Like
Mhm.
there isn't anything in the realm of encouragement, dare I say. You know what I'm saying? So from
And
that,
then like in real life, where do girls congregate?
yeah, yeah, like where are you going that's gonna put you in a space where you're even in the vicinity that's necessary for a girl to, you know, even want to contemplate being in your space. Where is that at?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not all the way too sure in reality. I feel
I'm not
like the
hip to
whole
the times either. I'm not hip to the times either.
yeah. So I mean, it is a certain level of magnetism that is going to bring that special someone into your life because
All the
there is no blueprint.
Yeah, all the time. You have to have some level of magnetism. You know, whether that's a lady at the coffee shop or somebody at the grocery store, right? Like you have to have some level of magnetism in order for this thing to work. Otherwise, you end up liking somebody that don't necessarily like you and just want you to pay some bills type shit.
Mm. Let's look at this. Let me know if you can hear.
Rebuild yourself and set boundaries with someone you're married to.
You can hear.
Yep.
Let's start over.
Boundaries with someone you're married to, but the marriage is dead.
I heard you say the marriage is dead. Is it any way that it can be revived?
He's even said that.
You don't believe that it's dead?
No, I do. I think I'm just beginning to accept it for myself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's in terms of you want to go to God and you bring it to the altar, but then you pick it back up, kind of a thing.
Okay, baby. I'm gonna talk to your heart right now. We have to stop trying to take control of things that we give to God. When you release it, it belongs to the Lord. Let Him fight this battle. When the enemy has worked in our marriage so much and he has dismantled our marriage, we try to pull from our own strength, but we find strength in the Lord. And let me explain to you why. When we go through these type of situations, we get anxious. When you get anxious in the word, it means that you are divided in mind. But God will give us a perfect peace. And perfect peace means that He joins together what has been divided. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to the Lord, and He will give you a peace that surpasses all understanding. I say that to you because when we go to God and we bring up gratitude, this is the reason why when we pray, we lead with gratitude. I lead with a heart of thanksgiving because every time I tell God, I thank you for showing up in the moments where I felt so low. I thank you for healing this wound. I thank you for staying beside me. I thank you for your refuge. I thank you for your rampart. I thank you for your love. You start to see God's faithfulness and you start to see His goodness. And before you know it, what you were anxious and worried about is neutralized. That fear is neutralized because I've leaned into God's understanding. Let God fight this battle. Go in prayer and call on Jehovah Nissi. I am calling on my banner right now. I'm calling on Jehovah the Lord who fights my battles. I'm calling on Jehovah Rapha, the God who heals my wounds right now. I am calling on Jehovah Jireh. I need your provision right now, God. You are the God who counts my tears. You know my sorrows. You've been down to hear my cries. So I trust God in this situation. I don't care about what my husband says is dead because I have life in Christ. So I know that what is dead inside of me, God can bring it back to life. Take your tears to God. Stay at His feet. When you mad, take it back to God. When you sad, take it back to God. Before you know it, you're going to feel this comfort that no human being could ever give you. Trust God.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you have the floor first.
I
I mean, be for real. Let's be all the way real, Hood Mystic. Let's be all the way real.
I
Let's be
mean,
all the way real.
I think it's a different message than I would say. I don't think that we can find God in the imaginary.
Okay.
I think we find God in our actual unions because it is through actual unions that we ourselves have been birthed into this dimension. You know, nobody was born through imagination or prayer. Motherfuckers did some up and down sex. That's how we got to this earth. So our ability to understand that specific modality outside of relationships, marriage, and God, but nobody is talking about sex. Or nobody is preaching accountability into what is the reason the husband thinks the relationship is dead. Because if you stand on the reason why this nigga is mad, he not going to be mad no more. But if you pray to God, God is your refuge, and on the ramparts we wave, oh say, can you see by the dawn's early light looking ass bitch, the nigga still gonna be mad. Cause the nigga said for whatever reason of what he was looking for, what he was trying to accomplish within this relationship, he not getting it. And he don't want to be with you no more. If he don't want to be with you no more, then it's a reason why. Outside of they say God is a poet God, and when I hear motherfuckers talk, I see the poetry. I hear the beautiful words.
Yeah.
But it's not solution based to me whatsoever. It's emotionally charged, but it's destructive, as if it doesn't provide solutions in reference to the actual marriage.
Yeah, there was a certain level of spiritual coddling that was going on there. I think when they made the stipulations that said that the woman wasn't supposed to preach the word, I think that this is what they were describing. I think that this is what they were trying to prevent. Right? Because rather than giving her true, actual ministry that wasn't predicated upon softening the landing for her ego, right? Because, like you said, if the man who is the leader says it's over, it's probably over, right? Like, it's not a matter of wishing wells, right? It's not like I could just put this under my pillow and tomorrow everything gonna be okay type shit. Like, this is not tooth fairy shit, right? Like, it's not a matter of outside forces. Someone directly connected to the inside mechanism of this relationship is telling you this relationship no longer works for them. That means it's over. That means regardless of how you feel about him saying it's over, that means it's over. That means regardless of how many inroads and outroads you want to go around to cut corners and try and get back to your delusionary standpoint, right? Like, it doesn't matter for any of that, right? It matters that the other person involved in the situation said no. Like, ministry is solicited when I would gander to say in times where people have an issue with dealing with their own shadow, but it's dressed up as ministry in the time, but it's supposed to give you transparent honesty, right? Like about your situation. Like, what did you um 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 contribute to the fact that your partner no longer wants to be with you? Period. You know what I'm saying? Like that should be it, right? Like that's your start point. That's your baseline. Not any of this mumbo jumbo shit. Like, and no, like just because you feel sorry for somebody and you want to give them words of encouragement, those are not words of encouragement. Those are words of coddling. That woman coddled you in that moment.
Mhm.
And that's not what ministry is for. At least that's not what they said it's for, right?
Right.
Yeah, like I get the purpose as to why, and this is a thing that women do, so I get whom is doing it and why they decided to do it that way. But unbeknownst to the average viewer, like this is not necessarily conducive to anybody learning anything or being able to use anything going forward from this. If you're taking from it, oh, somebody gave somebody some stuff to feel good about themselves, like no, like at some point we got to start having those hard conversations where it's like, women, how did you act in these relationships as to why these relationships don't never really end up panning out type shit.
That'd be really the thing, because it was like, y'all got this whole panel show and everybody is like giving advice and shit, but it's like, shit, it's your marriage, shawty. It's your husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he telling you, but that's neither here nor there, because like I said, I put all responsibility on men and how they are relating to their woman at a sexual level, because 10 times out of 10, right, you doing the provider shit.
Mm-hmm.
You
Women,
supporting, you paying all the bills, but is that providing her orgasms?
yeah, like when do you have time to prioritize sexy time? Right? Like when do
And
you have
getting deep into it, like, exploring that aspect of your relationship? Or do you feel like, damn, I got these hours to work, I'm paying all the bills, this bitch should be happy?
yeah, like I should be able to get it on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays type shit. Like, is that where y'all at with it? Or is that where you at with it? Like, I should be able to get it after a shower on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, ass nigga, with the lights out type shit. Like, you don't even look at your woman in her eyes when you make love to her, like, because that's not making love to her. Like, niggas don't make love no more. Niggas don't necessarily make love ever, right?
This is the point.
Right?
This is
Like,
the, this is the point.
if we're talking about R&B style, like niggas don't make love. Is you crazy?
Niggas hitting you with
Everybody
that
want
hammer dammer.
everybody want to put the head through the headboard. That's what
Beat it out
everybody
the
want.
frame.
That's what everybody want to do. Niggas don't understand that that's a build up point. Like you don't start from that point. And that's like the one hitter quitter point. That's not the shit that that's not everybody's go to. Everybody doesn't have that in the repertoire. Dare I say. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody doesn't have that.
I'm saying, even if you do, it depends on how you working it. You just giving it to hoes, or you having a wife that are developing a relationship with.
somebody you're taking your time to learn.
Right. Energetically, because the most important thing to a vehicle is the engine oil and the
Mhm.
carburetor and the gas, not the body, not the paint job.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Let these niggas tell it. Oh, my bitch so bad. My bitch looks so good. All right, but is y'all chemistry biologically in sync?
Mm-hmm.
That's where men fall short at.
Yeah, like what you're describing is that a man that knows when his woman's menstrual cycle goes off.
Mm-hmm.
Like a man that knows that without looking at the calendar type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what you're talking about.
I mean, if you study the moon, you could. I mean, I study the moon, so it's like it's very simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is a matter of days. It's a matter of understanding ovulation cycles, and not for nothing, these are spiritual portals. These are ways to tap into the dimension, according to Pascal Beverly Randolph.
How many kids Hood Mystic got?
I got 6.
Okay. I was just checking. So basically, a nigga that know what he talking about when it comes to sex, right? Like basically on a physical level, on a spiritual level, on a cellular level, a nigga that know what he talk about when he talk about sex, right?
For the most part, I'm not like it's not a point of bragging. It's just a point of understanding.
No,
And then I'm just correlating I would never talked about it if I didn't study Pascal Beverly Randolph, and he was talking about these particular dimensions, whereas beautiful children are a result of passion.
I deem him as the spiritual godfather. So like he's always been that for me, and he's the reason why I specialize in occult psychology. But I digress. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The patriarchy in a pink dress and telling women it's empowering is one of the most dangerous lies there is. Porn, OnlyFans,
You hear?
Yep.
and sugar babies, stripping, all being branded as liberation when it's actually spiritual self-destruction. Let's be real here. You are not reclaiming your body. You are actually feeding an agenda that wants women overexposed, oversexualized, and disconnected from their power. Sexual energy is seen as a sacred creative force across ancient traditions. But when it's overreactive, it becomes lust and overconsumption. That's when you lose your power and enter energetic slavery. You can see the ancients warning people that the leakage of sexual energy leads to massive loss of spiritual power, such as Vedic scriptures, Taoists, Hermetics. I could go on and on because it's found in so many different places, but the overreaction of the sacral chakra, which is where your sexual energy comes from, the part of your feminine energy, which is your creative force, if it's being leaked out, you're losing massive power. You're literally leaking out your magnetism for some likes and dollars. But the worst part is that it is plastered everywhere. Influencers with millions of followers that are watched by teenagers have OnlyFans. This huge influencer was 17 when she got invited to the Bop House, which is, by the way, a house of online prostitutes, aka OnlyFans models, which is evident that they're normalizing this for the younger audiences. Porn is being plastered all over social media across all audiences, and it's not harmless content. It's literally rotting people's brain. Neuroscience shows that porn shrinks gray matter in the brain. It rewires dopamine, increases aggression, and desensitizes men to real intimacy. This is a massive factor as to why sexual harassment has skyrocketed, and why I keep saying that sex work is completely against the essence of feminism, because it teaches women and young girls that they have to be desired and not respected. It teaches men to consume women and not connect with them. It destroys the very thing that it claims to liberate, which is the feminine energy. And you can't just blame the viewers. Like, yes, they're part of the problem, but so are the people that create this content. Ladies, you were never meant to sell your sacred energy and diminish your body to an object that could be sold. It's time that we stop glamorizing this connection and begin calling out people who are normalizing agendas like this, because if we don't, someday your little girl or little boy are gonna get influenced by this. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Sex work is not feminism, it is the patriarchy in a pink dress, and telling women it's empowering is one of the most dangerous lies there is. Porn, OnlyFans, sugar babies, stripping, all being branded as liberation when it's actually spiritual self-destruction. Let's
It's real crazy, man. Say all of this to say, man.
They always make me wonder if I'm looking at a real person or AI when I look at stuff like
Facts.
oh, just because like it's enough new information to like perk up the ears, but it's also enough misinformation because it's not really pointing to anything as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like that it would confuse the average person anyway, right? Like it's new, it's fresh, it's exciting, but it's like, all right, where do I go from here type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, bro. They really don't care about us type shit.
Yeah, I feel we on the cusp of something of a real live breakthrough. It's just like one of those things where you just keep knocking because I understand what's taking place on the spiritual realm, and I don't feel like I've completely made it to the physical realm quite yet, but it makes just perfect sense. And if you're a man, you got all of the power. You have everything in your favor if you could just discipline your energy and understand your energy and start pulling things to you and staying at
Yeah,
a certain mindset and a certain level.
yeah. I have a goal this year to make it a point that um the science of the shadow be one of those things that is talked about more often because I feel like a lot of it is that, right? Because it's like one of those things where it's when you realize how much ability or how much things you had at your disposal later on, the less the more accountability you actually understand you're supposed to be taking for what has actually transpired. You understand that? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, it makes sense.
like you you had a hand in this,
Hmm.
right? Like the where things currently stand, where it currently sits, like you had a you had a say about that. Like no matter how small or how obscure that say was, right? Like you still had a say about that, right? And when we all go back and we look at what we did with our time and with our energy and what we allowed to happen and what we actually made happen, right? Like it's less about what I could point my finger at and more about um yeah, it might be inventory check time, right? Like it might be time for me to start to look at how much I actually really got control of, right? Like it might be time for me to start saying, okay, how much does the decisions I make affect other people type shit, right? Like
Hmm.
that's where I think when we talk about the shadow, it's obscure to most people, especially to the average socialite, right? Like that's obscure to them, right?
Hmm.
But if we can make that normalcy for just the men alone, like I think we could do something about this so-called whether it's founded or unfounded, whoever you decide to ask male epidemic of loneliness that they say exists, right? Like maybe we could do something about that if we could help some of those men understand what their shadow is, right? Like all of the things that they're carrying with themselves, that they're blaming themselves for, that they probably not necessarily need to be blamed in themselves for, that they just need to be given permission to let go of type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just that shit alone, I think will go so much further, and that's the reason why we have these conversations. I'll end it.
Yeah, man. It's like something you talk about all the time, but then it's like it's gotta recalibrate, resettle, reload, and shoot again. You can't be like, oh yeah, I already shot my gun, so ain't no sense in loading it up again and shooting it because I want I want my bullets to do different things. I want it to do a loop to loop, man. I'm tired of it just shooting straight out. So it's like, nah, you gotta load your gun, you gotta shoot it, and it is what it is. So the more you shoot it, the more accurate you get with it. So it's like just being able to have these conversations to elucidate the shadow. My goal is just to break through the barrier of meditation as a concept and be able to elucidate what it actually is. So the work that I'm doing on my Substack is, just building a database of meditative conceptual thoughts that, at the end of it, hopefully it'll be a 360-degree interpolation of meditation as a way to, enter into these dimensions that we so desperately need to get in contact with.
Yeah, I would say that the work that you have done and the work that you continue to do is so crucial. Like you have gotten us past the point of people being able to say anything in the realms of meditate for what type shit, right? Like we're past that point now. So like we know, like if you're still at that point, that you're not even at the level, like the baseline level. So the work that you're continuing to do is as far as I'm concerned, it's the substantiated evidence to anyone who has a question about the relevance or rather the benefit, dare I say, of what cultivating spirituality means in the realms of being able to have a meditative practice that exists within you, something that you do every single day, something that you don't necessarily have to think about or set time apart about to do. You just do it. And like you actually give yourself permission to do that shit because there is no excuse not to do it in the first place. But people are so busy these days, big bro.
Man, you ain't lied, man. But I just say, man, we get these reps up, keep shooting at the basket, and
yeah, you
keep
miss
it.
every shot you don't take. So
Yeah, that's really what I'm about, bro. So, just have to just keep collaborating and, bring the information to a larger audience with repetition. That's how this game goes.
yeah, that's the goal. Number one spiritual panel on the webs on the internet. You already know.
Join the Discord, of course, guys. Like the video if you haven't liked the video already, and let us know what type of content, what type of videos y'all want us to look at. Join the Discord, join the conversation, and
Yeah, we are super accessible. Like you can literally talk to us right now tonight. Like
we talk back, not in a derogatory way either.
yeah, nah. We always building. Wise
Yes,
man
sir.
told me you either build or you destroy. You know what I'm saying? Like you already know that.
Yes, sir, man. But Peace to the tribe, man. Peace to the
Collective.
collective. Catch y'all all on the flip side, man, of course. Any closing words?
Nah, you know how we do. We'll see you tomorrow the next day. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace to the fam.
It's the Initiates. We back. We are the #1 spiritual podcast on the internet. Align your chakras, gain some knowledge, make more dollars. You are now tuned into scholars. Join the Discord. Be a part of the conversation. The Initiates Podcast and the Initiates Nation. Roll up your favorite pack and your best libation. Take some notes or go deep into meditation. The time we share is soul creations.
Enjoy the show.